So have the Tories really cut the deficit? In the two previous episodes we looked at the debt and real wages of the UK. In this episode we'll look at the deficit and we'll ask, have the Tories really cut the deficit? Think of the deficit of the UK as the money the country borrows every year to pay for its obligations. It's the same as an individual not making enough money every year to pay for his lifestyle and then charging the difference to his credit card. So just how much does the UK charge to its credit card every year? For 2014, the UK will borrow around 100 billion just to keep the lights on. To put that number into context, at the moment the government raises around 650 billion every year from all the taxes we're made to pay. So today, the UK government borrows around 15% of its revenue every year. Let's compare that to 1997, the year that New Labour took power. Back then, the Labour government raised around 550 billion from taxes and borrowed 35 billion. So in 1997, the UK borrowed around 6% of its tax revenue. Which means that by using this metric, Osborne is actually borrowing twice as much as Gordon Brown did back in 1997. But if you go to the Tory website, they claim to have cut the deficit by a third. If we explore this statement, we can see how disingenuous it really is. This is because the Tories are comparing today's deficit with Labour's last year in office, where they ran a very large and crucially one-off deficit of over 155 billion. And with the UK's borrowing set to be around 100 billion this year, this is how the Tories claim to have cut the deficit by a third. But the thing about deficits is they're cumulative. So here's Labour's deficit in their last year in office of around 155 billion. And here's the deficit expected for 2014-15 of around 100 billion, hence the Tory claim that they've cut the deficit by a third. However, deficits are cumulative. And if we look at the Tories, they ran a deficit of 135 billion, 125 billion, 115 billion, and 110 billion. Now let's compare this to the Labour Party and their 5 years in office. They ran the 155 billion, then they had a 95 billion, and then it dropped to 35 billion, 30 billion, and 35 billion in their first year in office. So if you add all that up, it means the Labour Party in their 5 years in office borrowed 350 billion, and the Tory Party are going to be borrowing 585 billion, which means they're going to outborrow the Labour Party by 60%.